Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Test, test. Test, test. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Test, test. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. We are in the good. All right, let's get started. What's the number? Mindfulness, 5. Oh, we are not in the good. Let me guess. I have to go to the base camera scene. Click the source. Just open it. Open the properties and close it. Like, if that's all it takes, this can be done programmatically. Why make me do this every time? Streamlabs. Maybe it's time to go to OBS. Alright, everyone. Hey, man. How's it going? Here? I don't know, man. Workout. But you know what's great to meditate to? This lovely kitty boo. Hey guys. Her name is Siri, with a C, not an S. Like Siri from The Witcher. You ever play the game? You got it. Yeah, I actually kind of enjoyed the TV series. I'm disappointed because I guess other people didn't, and then it may not continue or something, but maybe I'm just a big Henry Cavill fan. Let's get this adjusted so we don't see so much of the sky. All right. Yeah, I love the games. I love the show. Can't wait till they come out with some more. Maybe I should read the books. That's the one thing I haven't checked out. But yeah, welcome to another meditation session. So, same format as usual. We'll do about 15 minutes of discussion, and then we'll do an hour of meditation, and then another 15 minutes if you want to share your experiences. As always, reference the schedule page if you're new here. You can just check out njb.fyi/schedule, and if you scroll down at the bottom, there's a section on meditation, and there's a post I linked to that I wrote about all the benefits of meditation, and has a lot of tips for beginners. And like, you know, an app you can use to get started. Excuse me. Otherwise, yeah. So you're going to join on meditation, the cool. I wanted to talk about one quote today. That's great. Welcome. I want to get as many people meditating as possible. I think that if we can get as many people as possible meditating, I mean, it would probably take only 15% of the world. If you can get 15% of your friends, everyone you know, to meditate, it'll snowball at that point. Because it's one of those things that once you do it enough, you practice enough, you hit a point where you're like, wow, this is powerful. This is absolutely amazing. Everybody should be doing this. I need to get my friends to be doing this. So that's part of what I'm doing here. Unfortunately, I don't know, I appreciate you, man. You saying I have a little nice scenery to meditate to, or maybe you're talking about yourself. But this is, I need to be on a tropical beach or something. Maybe something a bit more attractive for people, because they're gonna look at my stream and be like, "What is this? There's barely enough light. This dude has some weight rack behind him. What's that about?" But yeah. Inner chill. Think about how I do, and it's important. That's the other thing that I do on my stream. But yeah, think about how crazy the world is. Everyone on social media going nuts. They're not chill. They're the exact opposite of chill. So if they had a little meditation practice, if they could find some inner peace, some inner zen, I think the world would be a bit more relaxed, a bit less crazy. Oh, what's the matter? Oh, another spammer. But yeah, that's just the world we live in. So the quote I wanted to read, nice and short one today, is, "The only way to live without regret is to pay attention." And this one's by Sam Harris. Probably like 50% or more of my quotes are from Sam Harris, because that's the app I use, and he's the one often saying stuff. But yeah, the only way to live without regret is to pay attention. I think that's absolutely true, because the reality is, like I've been saying in past episodes, most of our lives we go through on autopilot. We're just kind of like walking around, not really paying attention. And that's like really good in general in terms of like energy efficiency. Our brain has this way of like, you can drive home from work and like you barely even remember that you drove home. It's so automatic. So it doesn't take a lot of energy. You're not using your system one, right? You're not doing like math calculation. You're not doing calculus. Every time you drive home, that's very energy intensive. So our body often offsets things that it can to system two. So it's kind of this more autopilot-y zone we live in. And that we often overlook things. Exactly. So mindfulness is about training system one. And a lot of it is about training this ability to really pay attention. It's really about growing your awareness. And when you can do that, you'll find that you'll live more intentionally. And versus if you don't do that, you may find that you will have some regrets, because you're not really paying attention. You're not really making decisions, rational decisions. You're just kind of on autopilot, or you're just reacting to this or that. You're brooding about this or that. You're spending a lot of time sad or in the throes of these emotions. Mindfulness is kind of like the one way that I know of that can grant human beings free will. So yeah, it's very powerful. Okay, I clearly need to get like a bot or something. I think I actually have a bot. I'm supposed to have the Streamlabs bot that's supposed to block these bots, I think. Maybe I'll check again. Check the settings. Maybe write that down. Check settings regarding bots and spam filters. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's a crazy world out there, right? And everybody's trying to do something to make money. And a lot of people who are streaming, they want to do this because that's what they want to do as their career, right? They want to just stream and become famous, make a lot of money, so they don't have to do other stuff. They don't want to go to McDonald's and be working at Home Depot or something. They want to make it as a streamer. And so these bots are obviously just like they're getting on that. They're like, wow, all these people want to make it. Let me advertise these services that'll help them get viewers. So I get it. I get where the bots are coming from, because the people who make the bots also just want to make money, and they think this is one way to do it. And maybe some of the bots are legit, like they will actually do what they say they do. I don't know. But yeah, we need a bot to stop the bots. Yeah, it's like an arms race. It's like, who can make the smarter bot that will out-trick the other bot, right? The AI that clicks the "I am not a robot, prove that you are human," that can solve the CAPTCHA. Then they make a harder CAPTCHA. Some of those CAPTCHAs are so hard, I can't even solve them. There was a site I went to, I forget which site it was, but it's CAPTCHA, I couldn't solve it. And so I thought I was a robot, and I felt sad. But yeah, so anyways, my goal is not really to become a big, wealthy, super famous streamer. I mean, I'm not going to complain if that happens, but fortunately I'm not really like in this to, like to grind out the hours. And plus I don't think I can as a kind of like niche streamer, right? I'm a very niche streamer. There's like probably 5 other people who do anything related to mindfulness at all. Very few that do anything related to fitness. If you want to be doing like desktop streaming, well, I'm on mobile and such as well, but I think you really need to be getting into video games. It seems like the biggest part of the market is playing video games, and I'm just not entirely sure that's how I want to spend a lot of my time. I've looked at the other people who've like made it in streaming, and really what it just comes down to is streaming a lot, playing a lot, like probably playing like 8 to 10 hours a day, and getting really, really good, right? Like typically competence is really good. It's either that or you are just super hot, and typically that means you pretty much have to be a woman. I don't know if there's a lot of, maybe, I mean, prove me wrong. Are there guys out there who are attractive and basically, they suck at gaming? They're the only draw, and they get millions of people just because they're hot? I don't know about that for guys, but gamer girls, there are absolutely many gamer girls who do not play games well at all, but they have millions of followers simply because they're attractive. So for me, I think unfortunately, I'm just going to have to be really, really good at games. I'm going to have to play like 10 hours a day. I mean, which is fine. I'm a gamer. I could probably do that. But it's just like I'm not really sure if that's how I want to spend my time. But I'm going to talk about that a little bit more after this. After this hour of meditation and a little bit of discussion at the end, I'm going to have a little connection session where I open it up. If you're still there, I'd be glad to have you participate. And it's just about an opportunity to kind of share what's going on for you, share what's live for you. And I'll talk a little bit about sort of where I think I'm going to go with this live streaming stuff myself. Crash Bandicoot. That rings a bell. I feel like I played a Crash Bandicoot game a long time ago. Was there one on Sega Genesis? I'm dating myself. My first console gaming system was a Sega Genesis. Well, actually, do you count the Game Boy? The big, fat Game Boy? Dude, Sonic the Hedgehog, Sega Genesis, classic. Was awesome. I played Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic and Knuckles. Remember, it had like a game cartridge you put into the Sega Genesis, and then you open the cartridge, you could put another game on top of it. And then it would unlock some secret levels and stuff. That was really cool. That was the most genius thing that has yet to be redone ever. I want to see them do that. Come on, Nintendo Switch 2, make some games that have a game you can put into another game and then do some cool stuff. But yeah, those are good times. Mortal Kombat, Earthworm Jim, Echo the Dolphin, Street Fighter, classics. I actually really like those movies. I'm a big fan of the new Sonic movies. There's some of my favorite movies in recent years. I don't know. I'm a sucker. I mean, of course, I played Sonic, so there's like a warm spot in my heart for Sonic franchise related stuff. But yeah, I think Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik was on point casting. Um, really good, and just in general, the whole like vibe of it. It's like cheery. It's fun. It's heartwarming. There's comedy. It's just the kind of movie that I want to watch. You know, most of the time at the end of a long day, I just want to chill with something that's like a nice popcorn flick that is a feel good movie. Um, but yeah, so that was my alarm, 6 p.m. Let's get started. It's going to be from 6 to 7 p.m. meditation. I'm actually going to start off here by meditating while I fix my gloves here. But then I'll go back into my traditional meditation. And yeah, so stick around. I'll be back. And let's begin. Why are you so hungry? I just fed you dinner. I just fed you dinner. I just fed you dinner. All right. If you stuck with us the whole time, congratulations. That's another hour of meditation practice under your belt. And yeah, this is the time where I invite people to share their experiences. How was that? And while people are typing out their response, I'll go ahead and share mine. That was really great. I really do enjoy when my cats come by and I can pet them, and I don't know, it's just, there's something like nice about that experience. And I think this highlights one of the key goals, I would say, of meditation. If there is a goal, if you could pinpoint, put your finger on, these are the goals. It's questionable whether you should think about that as something. You may not want to meditate with having these goals in mind. That could technically throw you off a little bit, but if you're to loosely consider whether there are goals of meditation, one of them would be the ability to integrate meditation into your real life, into your day-to-day living experience. So, as I've said before, like while you start typically, maybe in a quiet room with your eyes closed and such, that's just the beginning. Once you get fairly comfortable with the practice, and that'll be different for each person, but once you get fairly comfortable with the practice, you should initially be able to meditate during most like pretty mundane or simple tasks, folding laundry, doing dishes. I was doing a simple, just like cleaning up my gloves or petting my cat. And because the principles are the same. In fact, once you get really good at meditation, you can meditate in any environment. You could be in a rave and you can meditate. There really is no place where it's not appropriate to meditate. It just depends on where your current skill level is with the practice. And in the future, as you get really, really comfortable in time, the goal is basically to just bring meditation to every aspect of your life. At every moment you're walking around and you're being mindful, you're being aware. So that's one of the key long-term goals. If you could say that there's a goal of meditation, I would say that is one that I'm aware of. Now there are a few others, and I'll talk about them more in depth at some point, but one of the others would be non-duality. And that's kind of a complex concept, but it's fundamentally about recognizing, kind of like dropping the ego, dropping the self, and kind of just I don't know. I'm afraid to put exact words on it because I haven't reached that point myself, and I can only relate what it is from other people's descriptions to me. But what I'll do is I'll pull up some quotes about non-duality from people who have experienced it and talk about those in a future episode. But for now, yeah, if anybody else has any questions or comments or wants to share their experiences with the practice, now's a good time. Wow, the bots are like out in storm today. I've gotten so many. Yeah, I'll have to look into, I think there's like a Streamlabs bot that I can get that'll like moderate the channel or something. I'm not sure it'll pick up the stuff. I'm not sure if it's just like gonna, block people who swear and stuff, or it'll get this stuff, but I'll look into that. And just as a reminder, so this mindfulness session is going to segue into a connection session, which technically is supposed to start at 7, but we were a little delayed. Looks like we may not have anyone but bots in this chat, so maybe we can just segue right into it. Oh, you want your food? Here you go. Oh, hey. Oh, God. I have not. What is 1 plus 3? Okay, tell me in outline. See, it's weird. Like, I want to reply to people when they say hey to me. I want to engage with my viewers. I even took away any stream delay whatsoever. So there's, and did low latency mode. So there's like the minimal delay. I can engage with people really quickly. It can be a really connective experience. But when these bots come in, it's like decentivizing me from wanting to say hi, because 50% of the time it's going to be a fake thing and just wasting my breath. Such is life. So mindfulness and connection. Let's pull up that page. So again, we'll be doing a heart share again. It doesn't look like we're going to get a lot of people here. So I'll just be sharing a bit myself. And maybe I'll just end it a bit early rather than going on for an hour. That's a lot. But the general idea is to create a structured practice where participants can authentically share about their current emotional state and experiences in a supportive group setting. It's usually anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. I'm going to be generally holding them to 60 minutes unless we have a pop-in group and there's a lot of people who want to go. Maybe I'll extend it over time. But generally about 8 to 15 people. You all sit in a circle, or if you're not in person, then we'll probably do like Zoom or something. And I'll just broadcast that. And then, we'll take a moment. Brief moment of silence while we ground ourselves and kind of try to stay present, kind of discard temporarily your worries and your thoughts about other things and outside activities, and just commit to being present for people for this period of time. And then each person will go for however long we have, divided by the number of people, 3 to 5 minutes, and they'll talk, and everyone else will just be quiet and attentively listen, and in a non-judgmental way. No sneering or pointing, or it's about acceptance. And then we can open it up, and I can ask the share if they would like questions or comments or feedback. And if they say yes, then we can have people raise their hands, and I can go one at a time to, let a few people speak, but usually try not to let that go a little overboard, so we can go back to the main feature, which is letting people share what's live for them. So without further ado, I'll just go. Today is Thursday, September 11th, actually. I wanted to take a moment to talk about that. I'm curious, maybe next September 11th, when I have more subscribers and not just bots. I'm curious to hear other people's stories, because 9/11, I don't know about you youngins out there who are still in your mother's womb or not even born yet, but 9/11 was a huge moment in my life. I think everybody's lives back then. It set in motion a chain of events that led to like a bunch of long wars and this whole big fuss about terrorism, and it changed. We had like what was it, the Patriot Act? Like various laws were restructured, like increased amounts of surveillance. It just it's kind of a pivotal moment in the history of the United States, and yeah, I'm just curious about other people's experiences and how, where they were at that moment. Do you remember where you were on 9/11, and how it affected you at various points in your life thereafter? I remember exactly where it was. I was in high school. I think it was sophomore year of high school. Um, yeah, and I was in French class, and teacher was so nice. We were taking a test, and oh god, I thought that was a real person. Um, we were taking a test, and I was not a good student really back then. I mean, I had some challenges with my family. I had a really toxic relationship with my parents throughout high school, and that brought up a lot of emotions within me, and I didn't know how to address those emotions. And so my tendency was to intellectualize, was to just like avoid them and hide myself in a video game, immerse myself in a video game and just not think about the hard things. Um, so when it came to like doing what my parents wanted me to do, I was pretty not on board with that. And what they wanted me to do was like do all my homework, do really well in school, like get amazing grades and follow their footsteps into Harvard. I mean, I think that would be cool, but really any good school would, I'm sure they would be happy about. Um, Going to college in general, I think was a high hope of theirs. And so, yeah, back to the original story. I wasn't that good at French. I was doing terribly in the test. And um, yeah, then someone was like, wait, I think something just happened. Turn on the TV. We had a TV in the classroom. And yeah, lo and behold, there's this news. The building got hit. There was like smoke coming out. People were going nuts. This, well, I mean, not in my class, but I think like the news and people were kind of like, of course, there was chaos. There was a lot of like things going on in real life. We just kept taking the test. And then one girl was like, I think my father's like working in the World Trade Center. I need to call him. And she was like out for a while, like trying to reach her dad and stuff. I'm not actually sure what happened. Did she get that resolved? Um, and yeah, I just kind of remember like we just were sitting there like basically for a while. The TV was going on. I think the other plane hit like before we left the class. And at some point, I don't know exactly what happened, but like the students were sent to the gym. If I remember correctly, we went to the gym. We just like all gathered there. And I think like basically they like halted school or something in there, just like stay in the gym. We need to figure out what's going on. Um, and so we just hung out there, and most of us didn't really understand the impact that it would have. Like I saw some building on fire, but I don't know. Like as I mean, I felt like I was so desensitized to violence and you know things like that happening. Movies display that kind of stuff all the time. Mission Impossible, whatever. Like, so it just didn't really dawn on me, or I didn't really notice it really dawning on other people that this would set in motion a chain of events that would like completely alter American life, um, incur like trillions of dollars of debt in the wars we would be in for years. So yeah, it's just interesting. Anyways, what a day, what a day. And now, of course, we have the new Trade Center building. It's pretty epic, actually. But have we solved the underlying issue? And I think that's the problem. I don't think we've solved the underlying issue. But that's a topic for another time, right? Just, I randomly noticed it was 9/11 today, and I wanted to share my experiences about that. Not a lot of feelings come up, and if I did have them, I totally suppressed them. All I just thought it was a normal, like, okay, sure, like a building's on fire. It didn't really dawn on me until years later, and like seeing how things played out, that that was kind of an epic moment. But yeah. So, what's alive for me? Let me take a moment to just kind of ground myself a little bit more. I think one thing that came to me and earlier, and now I'm remembering now too, is, well, first of all, I embody this philosophy of just radical honesty, which is in contrast to the normal level of honesty that I think most people do. Right? I think, and this is the normal level that like I was trained to do, and I think like my parents, my like sisters, like pretty much everyone normally has this level of honesty where, okay, like for the most part, they're pretty honest people. But if, you ask them something and they don't want to like be too critical, they might like kind of sugarcoat it or be nice or something. And that varies for different people, right? You cook a meal or something and you bring it to Thanksgiving, dinner, and you're like, oh, what'd you think of my mashed potatoes, right? What's up? You only want the best treats? A lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's really great. They're just like, kind of just say something kind so as to not hurt your feelings. And that's one way to go through life. Maybe, it doesn't cause a lot of bumps in the road. Or like, your girlfriend will be like, oh, like, how does this look on me? Does this dress look nice? And you just say like, oh yeah, that looks beautiful. You look sexy. You're amazing. That's one way to be. I get it. We don't want to. It's kind of a natural instinct to like not cause drama and keep things chill, out of fear that someone will be really upset if you tell them the truth. But I think that's not the way to go about it. I think society would actually be much better off if everybody just embraced radical honesty, was 100% honest about everything, and then in turn, people learned to accept feedback and criticism and handle it. Like, develop the emotional intelligence skills to be able to accept the fact that you're not perfect, and you may make food that's not that tasty to everyone, and not every piece of clothing is going to flatter your body, and it's going to be different for each person, right? Like, your boyfriend's perspective may be different from your best friend's perspective. So just, if everybody was completely honest all the time, imagine if we could get rid of deception. I mean, I think this is kind of like hard for a lot of people to wrap their minds around. But a lot of the problems in communication and relationships come down to deception, come down to not being honest, not being transparent. In all relationships, whether like romantic relationships or like boss to employee or like president to, citizens to whatever, in all relationships, there's this element of deception or honesty. And that's a huge thing. And like, you have to like know, like, can I trust this person? Are they being honest? And that's like, maybe I shouldn't trust them. And this like adds an aspect of, relating with people that just kind of adds more complexity. It makes things more complex. If we could eliminate, just by all agreeing right off the bat, we would never be dishonest and always be honest and frank. You can still be nice, you can still give feedback constructively, but just never lie. That's something we could just eliminate from existence, right? We can't do that with a lot of things, right? You can't eliminate natural disasters, right? Tornadoes, earthquakes, they're going to happen. But there are things like deception, honesty, this whole element of like trust, which we could solve if we just collectively agreed to be honest. So anyways, that's my philosophy. I am radically honest, and every relationship after like the third big relationship I was in, I always started with that. I'm like, look, I'm going to be radically honest. I'm going to, it might be, sometimes I might say things that might come as a shock to you or something. I mean it respectfully. I mean it because I want us to have this just basis of honesty and never have to worry about things going wrong after. I mean, imagine, for example, if you said something like, oh, as a white lie, like, oh, that looks great on you, honey, that dress looks amazing, and then it comes out later that you were not actually being truthful. You're just kind of like, trying to be nice. And then she's going to be like, oh, like, what else did he lie about? Like, you lied about that. So what else? Like, do you not like my food too? Do you not like this? It's like, it just opens up a can of worms if you're not honest. So honestly, the best way to be in life is to be completely honest. Just radically be honest and just, be nice about it. You don't have to be brutally harsh about everything you say. There's still a way you can communicate that is effective, but try to avoid things like, oh, this food is delicious, like just right off the bat, like an instinctual like lie that you might say to like avoid potential conflict. And that way you can actually give good feedback, right? Like, learning to give feedback is a skill, and it's really helpful for the person who's asking for your input, because then they can actually grow from it. If you just say your wife's cooking is always good, then she's not going to change. If you actually think it's too salty but you don't tell her, she'll just keep making it really salty. So you can be like, look, I think this is really delicious. I really appreciate that you put in the effort to make this for me. And really, I mean, I don't know if I'm in a position to say anything because I'm so grateful. But if I had any one thing I could request differently, like just maybe a little bit less salty. Like, I don't know, maybe say it that way. Maybe there's even nicer ways to say it. But the point is, you can still say it in a nice way and be honest, and then allow for complete transparency and growth, and just so much better. So I'm an honest person. So that was the whole segment on me being an honest person. But I've been thinking about like being honest on a live stream and being, I want to be true about my feelings, what's going on inside me. But then I'm like, okay, so what if I'm honest about a relationship I'm in, or, me and my friend, or me and my partner or something? That could cause tension. I can imagine if I'm talking about somebody else on this live stream, spilling my true feelings, being completely honest, but maybe they don't agree with me, or like maybe there's, I could see that causing conflicts. So I mean, there's a general rule if you read like any like sort of book, Dale Carnegie, how to whatever his classic book is called, general rule is don't talk about other people. And I think that's generally a good idea. I think even the Buddha said something like that, like, don't talk about other people. I mean, unless they're present and you're like talking with them about them or something. I think that's generally a good rule. So yeah, there's some dance there where I want to reveal my feelings. I might be struggling with like one of my friends who's like, we have a relationship and we're at odds with each other, and I want to be able to relate that with you guys honestly and completely transparently. But at the same time, I value that friendship, and I want to, hey, that's not your food. How many times I gotta tell you? That's Siri's food. Come on, your bowl's over here. You got so much food in there. So I want to be honest with you guys, but I also don't want to cause like further tension and drama in a relationship by talking about that stuff on a live stream, especially in this day and age where, like, I don't know, I feel like if you become famous, which I'm not and probably will never be, but if you put it out there and then you become famous enough in the past and someone watches this video and then you're like, oh, this guy like was mean to Nathan, so I'm gonna like be mean to this guy. There's a lot of like repercussions that can happen. So much political violence. So I want to avoid all that. So that's a dance there that I'm a little bit aware of and a little bit concerned about. So I'm going to probably stay very high level on certain topics. So one such topic that came to me was my partner currently feels anxious about our finances. And, we had like this plan. We have these like periodic talks about like what our plans are going forward and such. And we're on that plan. And this live stream is actually part of that plan. It's the idea is kind of drum up our social media presence a little bit. And, she's getting her Pilates certification. And so, maybe this can segue into like getting people to a studio at some point. And then maybe that studio can evolve and grow into a little community somewhere, an intentional community. So we're like kind of working on this plan, but I guess that's not enough. So I feel inclined, because I love her and among other reasons, to find more ways to make money. And so like I'm balancing whether I want to do I like go back to my tech job kind of thing, or do I make a game, which I'm really passionate about, I love video games, or do I like kind of double down on this live streaming thing? And so I think there are pluses and minuses to both. I mean, if I get a job in tech again, I mean, that would be the most quickest like immediate return for like a decent amount of money in the short term, but in the long term, like, not really long. It doesn't really scale. For how much work you have to put in, it doesn't really scale. You can make a lot of money in the short term, and, maybe if you get in a good company with, they give you stock options and such, and that company's rising, maybe you can kind of do okay in the long term, but it depends. And you also probably won't be doing something you exactly love to do. I mean, if you're lucky, that's great, and you actually love to do that thing, but I would say more often than not, most people work jobs that they're looking for the most amount of money they can make. And that's the priority versus the one that, they're passionate about. But if you're lucky to get money doing something you're passionate about, I think that's awesome, and that should be a goal. But I'm not sure that's realistic for me, especially because one of the things I'm most passionate about is making games, but my resume doesn't really speak to that. I mean, I started a game development company in the past, but game companies today, they want to see that you've had a shipped product, not merely that you worked for like 4 years on a product that never shipped. So so it's unlikely that I'm going to be able to find a job that's aligned with my passion of like sort of design or game production. So then there's, do I want to make a game? And I mean, yeah, I love making games. I'm a little bit, as I spoke about this before, I'm a little bit like, is it even that worth it in terms of, there are big changes coming to the world in the next couple of years because of AI and new tools and technologies we're going to see in terms of making games. So it's a lot of work to make a game, and you have to learn a lot of very specialized technologies. And so that's just like a big investment that, I don't know, just may not necessarily make sense to make at this point, given the changes that are likely coming. In the same way that I'm not sure it's necessarily wise. If I was just graduated high school today and I was thinking about whether I want to go to college, I'm not sure that I would actually go to college. If you look at the numbers for recent graduates from college, like those employment rates are already down, because AI can largely do those like intern level jobs. And I don't see that recovering. I see AI only getting smarter, only getting better, to the point where it effectively takes over management of the planet. And I spell this out in detail on my website, so check out my blog, njb.fyi/blog. If you want to learn more about that, I wrote a huge 3-part series about AI and the future of humanity. But I'm not of the impression that it's just like a temporary fad that's going away. It's here to stay, and it's going to eventually completely change the world and completely upend society as we know it. But I think ultimately in a good way. And maybe I'll do a separate session on that. Actually, I plan to have a perspective session where I talk about that more in depth. But so in terms of making a game, I just feel like there's not too much time before AI really starts making waves. And if you know anything about game development, it does take a pretty long time. We're talking like, at least 2 to 3 years. And especially if I'm working by myself, it's going to be more at 3 years. And that's even with a small scoped project, right? With my experience in game development and those years that I did of game development in the past, I have learned a lot of important lessons, and I think I'm actually well equipped to make a game. But I know that it's going to take a while. I have my expectations of the timeline I have experience with that. It takes a lot longer, basically double or triple everything you think things are going to take. And so that's why it's so important to scope your game really, really small, like really, really small scoped game. It's so easy to have it balloon out of proportion. You never really finish. You get exhausted and you never finish. So I've been thinking about that. I think the advantages financially of making a game are essentially nothing in the beginning. And if you're lucky after like 6 months to a year and you have some like viable product and pretty decent like marketing and like, you can make some, maybe even a demo for it, you might be able to get like a Kickstarter kind of boost in money. Of course, most of that have to go back into the game, but of course that can also pay rent and other things if that's what you need money for, because you need to pay rent in order to make a game. So yeah, it's when do you need the money? So if you don't need the money right away and you can kind of go by with very little money in the beginning for several months, you maybe can make that work. And then long term, especially if you make a successful game, then I think that has probably among the highest potential for making money of all the options. Again, it just depends on how you transform from there, right? If you make a decent, Kickstarter and you get some money, and then you maybe can hire some other people to join the project, some programmers, some other people that, you can use for your team, and then you make a game, and then you make some money from that. And then how do you grow your company from there? Like probably slowly hire some more people, polish the game more, maybe make expansions eventually. Do you make other IPs, intellectual properties? So there's a lot there, but it has quite high potential if you know how to manage your company well and make good games, which I like to think that I can, but we'll see. And then the other thing is, the other approach I could take is I could double down on live streaming, which is not my original plan. I already acknowledge I'm a super niche streamer, right? Like most live streaming, at least certainly in the desktop space, is game-based streaming. And I actually just watched a video about this guy named Myth and his kind of like trajectory over the last several years. Like he was one of the most like popular streamers for a brief period of time. Like years, I guess, but relatively brief. And then like his stream declined through various decisions and such. But he's well off. I'm sure he has like millions of dollars now just from being super famous for that brief time. So that would solve the financial issues. But streaming definitely is one of those things that it doesn't seem long term unless you really work at it to maintain. It's more fickle, right? Like for some reason it feels more fickle to me. People can just like, this guy Myth is the perfect example. Like he had a lot of subscribers, and then he doesn't anymore because of various decisions he made. Like I guess he tried to be more of a variety streamer doing multiple games, but he was mostly famous for his Fortnite content. And so I guess he's, like I said, he's all set now in terms of money, but long term, I feel like you're kind of at the whim of of fans, and they may come and go, or the game you play just like dies down and you need to find another game, but maybe you don't find one that quite resonates with your fan base as much as the first one you found, so then you're kind of in a rut. So I feel like it's a bit more volatile. I will say though, there's something about that is definitely, there's like a part of my I love playing games. I've been playing games since, like I said before, Sega Genesis, right? The blue or the big gray Game Boy with Tetris, early '90s. So a long time. I'm a gamer, and so the idea of basically making money to play games sounds great, on one level. But on the level that it doesn't sound great is that it just doesn't seem like it's the kind of life I want to live. It's not how I really want to spend my time. I mean, I like playing games, but these people, they play like 8-10 hours of games a day. I mean, maybe after you're already famous, maybe you can kind of chill out and do like an hour or two or something. But to get big, especially as a guy, I can't really go in based on like looks, right? I can't, like, maybe can I just like take my shirt off and get 1 million views? Because I'll do that if that's all it takes. But I'm currently under the impression that's like only maybe women can go on the hotness route to fame. I actually have to be either like really funny or really good at gaming. Like, I have to pick a game and like play that 10 hours a day and become ridiculously good at it. Or otherwise like have some valuable, there's need to be some like valuable content that I offer. And so I do have mindfulness, I do have meditation, or I do have my fitness stuff, but this is very niche. Like, a lot of gamers probably don't care, which is unfortunate, and I think everyone should care about their physical and mental well-being, but it is a niche category, and I'm not going to become somebody with 1 million subscribers through my mindfulness meditation. It's just not going to happen. So I absolutely would have to play some games. I probably would have to play a lot of one game and get actually good at it, which is possible. I'm a good gamer. And that just seems like a lot of time invested, I'm not sure I want to do that. Like, I want to spend limited amount of time on the computer as much as possible, and spend it more with my friends and family. Right now, if my friends are playing games with me, I think that counts. That's like, that can be a bonding experience, and so I'm down for that. But even still, like, the amount of time I have to play seems like a lot. But I'm not sure, because the same thing can be said about making a game. In fact, even more isolating, because generally I'm just making it by myself. Like, even if I am making it on a team with other people, I'm not like programming with them on the same, like, we're not doing the same thing. They're working on their other stuff of the game. So it's still a lot of like time where I'm just like sitting behind a screen. And that's not really where I want to go. I kind of want to, I like to build stuff. I like to do stuff that's like, I want to go outside. I want to like build a community. I want to like grow stuff, grow food, get some fresh air. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm still thinking about it, but maybe right now, because I'm not in a place where I can build a community, I don't have the money to, I don't have the people, I don't have the influence or reach to get people to join a community. And there's just, it seems like computer work, tech work, is going to be my future, at least for the foreseeable several months, and maybe a year or two. So maybe I will end up just doing making a game, or doubling down on live streaming. I do, because right now my attitude again is like, I just want to make live streams that help people, and if I can get people working out, moving their body, being a little healthy, if I can get people into meditation, a lot of people probably aren't really aware of it or don't really know why it's useful or how it's valuable. So if I can, do these like challenges where I'm doing like 1,000 hours or 100 hours or whatever, and just get other people kind of like raise their awareness to it, then that's a victory for me. I feel like that would be great. That's all I'm really going for here. Now, if at the same time, if I can actually make some cool friends here, meet some cool people, that's awesome. That's like another huge part of this for me, and why I want to do live streaming as opposed to YouTube, where I like make like pre-made videos, because live streaming I can actually talk to people. So that's important to me too. I'd like to make friends. This world is so isolating, so that's part of the whole thing behind the connection live streams, where I make a space for people to come together, to connect, to share. So that's just the whole thing. It's not about making a lot of money. I'm not like trying to be a millionaire on this, and I just have to decide whether I want to really double down. Maybe I'll make some YouTube videos that maybe just a handful, maybe a few Instagram posts or something to kind of direct people to my live stream. I'm I'm thinking about it, but I'm at peace with whatever happens. But yeah, if I start making moves towards making a game, then I'll be the first to let you guys know, and you can see my progress. Maybe I'll live stream my game development process. That might be something I could do. Maybe there's a little market or a little niche market for that. But oh wait, I forgot to change this over to connection. Forgot. Still in the mindfulness thing. So yeah, making money. It's just the world we live in. It's mind blowing to me that so many people just kind of blindly accept the world we live in, and yeah, I guess there's not enough voices out there who are like, hey, wait, this world we live in, it's more the result of a series of accidental events through history, right? We didn't humanity didn't sit their brightest minds together and come up with okay, if we want to be all happy and thriving, we should design our society so we do this, and this. Society wasn't designed. It's just kind of a natural evolution over history, from empire to civilization to one society to the next. And so the way we are, the way we do things now isn't optimal, right? I think a lot of people grow up, I did when I was growing up, I was like, this big world, there's so many people in it, all these rules, someone probably really thought deeply about all this stuff, and it must be perfect. There must be no issues at all. That's actually pretty much the exact opposite. There are so many issues, and a big one of them is this: is that our entire economic system is structured around wage labor. The idea that when you're born, right? You're not just taken care of. I mean, sure, your parents take care of you, but society doesn't take care of people. It doesn't take care of you and then allow you to live the life that you want. You have to take care of yourself. You have to look after yourself. And this kind of fundamental thing is something that so many people accept. Oh yeah, duh, Nathan, you have to look after yourself. Dog eat dog world, bro. Yes, but it doesn't have to be that way. We live in a world with such abundance that we could create a world where everybody can be given enough food, enough shelter. They could be given, a reasonable allotment of stuff. You can get your computer. You could have access to a gym, right? We could give everybody in the planet a really nice life with access to all sorts of fun stuff, musical instruments, ATVs, whatever. We have that ability now to create a world where nobody has to work, right? This might be mind-blowing to people, but we have the ability today to create a world where everything is automated and nobody has to work, and people who want to work can work. I'm not saying you shouldn't work. I'm just saying you shouldn't be forced to work a job you don't like to do just to keep a roof over your head, just to keep food on the table. We should create a society in which those things are God-given rights. You will get food. If you're born into this world, if you come in here, we're going to make sure you always have food. We're going to always make sure you have some clothing, make sure you have a place to sleep, make sure you have opportunities to learn, to get an education. We could do that now, but we don't, right? And so this is kind of the big flaw of our current sort of economic structure. And I'm going to be talking about all these things in detail. You can get a sneak preview of a lot of it just by going to my website and checking out my blog, njb.fyi/blog. You want food again? There you go. But yeah, so kind of saddens me, but overall, I think we're headed in the right direction, slowly but surely. Little cracks are starting to show in our system. I'm from the US, so this may not apply in all places. If you live in, Denmark, Norway, some of the other countries that do it a little bit better than us, maybe it doesn't apply. But certainly here in the US, the political situation is insane. It's crazy. It's like Democrats and Republicans, they have like a knife to each other's throats, like ready to kill each other at any moment. It's just so divided. It's so divided. When in reality, we all want the same things, right? Like when you really break it down, we just want to be happy, healthy. We want to be able to connect with our friends and family and spend time doing things we love with the people we love, right? Like when you really break it down, we all want the same things. Now there are just subtle differences in how we believe we should get there, but we could figure that out if we just saw ourselves as part of the same team and say, hey, we have different perspectives. You come from this place and you have this perspective. Well, I come from over here and this is my perspective. So if we could just learn to talk and communicate with each other, we can make a vibrant, flourishing society. But instead it's always just, they're wrong, I'm right. Let's kill them. Let's do everything we can to suppress them. Let's gerrymander Texas so we can get 5 more House seats and they lose 5 House seats. It's just really, really toxic environment. And that makes me really sad. But I don't think it's the end of the world in that I think ultimately we are heading in the right direction. You'll see, as new generations come, their eyes open up to things that their parents and their grandparents were not aware of. Injustices and, just the way things are isn't necessarily the same thing as the way things should be. Now, unfortunately, at the same time, we have social media and we have misinformation campaigns. So a lot of young people are growing up and they are still becoming racist, right? Still becoming prejudiced. Still believing things that are not actually helpful. But I think we're on the right track. We'll get there eventually. And I think AI is going to ultimately usher us into a world that is much better than the one we live in now. But more on that later. That'll be a future perspective episode. I think for now I'm going to wrap it up. Only got bots in chat. Wow, they're going nuts today. Thanks for listening. I kind of got distracted. It was maybe a little bit more heady. Should stick with my emotions. I'm working on that. But if you were watching or you watch this video in the future, I appreciate it. Appreciate the subscribe, any support you could give. And yeah, I'm going to call it at that. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.